Hey, welcome into this edition of the GASOCast, episode 18, I believe, 17, I believe. Gaso's
Yep.
back, if you didn't know. We had King of the Court last weekend. It was a blast, saw tons of good players. But before we get to talking about that, we're going to give you some house cleaning. A couple of hoops with Mass and Blue is going to drop later. We had a great recruiting chat about the portal and kind of how do you anticipate, like, how do you fight the wanting to, I don't even know how to say it, Blue. How do you fight the
The
portal before
urge.
it even begins? Like, before it even begins for you. That's the conversation we had. What would you say?
There's a lot of urges that you might have when you're thinking about the portal and you're thinking about recruiting. It's we're gonna cut the clip and it's gonna be by the standalone.
I yell. Blue yells a little bit. It's really good.
I
Um,
met Timmons. I was just standing here listening to Mass, and his voice just kept getting big, louder and louder and louder. I'm like, ooh, I don't want to be on the man. I'm cleaning my room.
Good. Recruiting Simplified newsletter dropped this morning. It's a really good story about Jordan Blair. He just committed to a Division II full scholarship, and he had nothing when we started talking back in early February. He's been one of my best students, honestly,
I love
and
Jordan.
Jordan's a good player. Um, Acting Bad broadcast, first annual Acting Bad Awards.
Yeah, so I have the rundown finished. I'll be shooting it probably after this. But yeah, my first annual Acting Bad Awards. Stay tuned for that. It's probably going to be very silly and very fun, but something I'm very passionate about. So
Good.
stay tuned for that. I'll probably post that either Thursday or Friday morning.
Gaso Fast
And
Break's coming out on Friday. Gaso Extra will also come out. We're still building our 2025 teams. We'll probably move to 2026 after that. Next Gaso, two cities, one Gaso, will be in Dallas and Houston, working out the details of who's going to be where. Should be a fun event. We got some really fun teams coming. And then make sure you're following us. We are giving out tons of content, player stuff, recruiting stuff, video content, all over the place. So make sure you're tuned in. I'm at Gaso Mass, at Gaso Blue, and at iFilm Hoopers.
also, Mass, one thing I hadn't told either one of y'all is that for working on a little something with a high school coach who has done a deep dive into uh, percentages of shooting during state.
Oh, I love
So
that.
that's going to be a Gasso confidential.
Are you
And
gonna do it?
so
Are you gonna do it pre Alamo Dome versus post Alamo Dome?
I don't want to give up too much away, but it could even go back a few years before even the Alamo Dome was even uh, the home of the state
Love it. Love it.
semifinals.
And just want to give a shout out to the media. Thanks for coming out, covering our event. Did a great job. Saw a ton of great content. Still seeing it. Still hitting retweet. Let's
I
let's talk
agree.
champs. Let's talk champs here. Champs of the NBA division. We got the Rose City Warriors and the Gold Boys. Let's talk Rose City Warriors first. Blue, who kind of stood out for you?
Joshua Brown, I mean, there was some smoothness to his game. It was very a very cool type game that he would bring the ball up. He would get to the rim. He slice through the defense. He'd go get an offensive rebound and a putback. He played strong on the defensive end. There was this his overall game just stood out, and I watched him a couple times and just really liked what I saw from him.
Yep. I think Daquan Dunn, Berkner 2026, just made plays. Like his fingerprints were kind of all over the game. He wasn't the show. I thought Joshua Brown really took the lead as the guy for this group, but it was fun seeing Daquan Dunn just get after it, make plays on the defensive end, make shots. That's a really good team. You're come back to Gasso. We'd love to watch you again. No
Yeah,
brainer.
the one thing I first of all, my mic's been way over here this whole time, so who knows if y'all heard anything I said at all. I'm having an acting bad broadcast, by the way. I don't know if you caught that earlier. But the one thing I'll say about those East Texas teams, when they get a chance to come play against Metroplex, they really show out. So you saw it this week right away. Rose City walked right into the gas and got right to it. And then also at the end of the season in playoffs, Longview played the Colony, and right away from jump ball, they're like, "Hey, y'all may have not seen or heard or know what we're about over here, but we're for real, and we're going to show you." So I think the pridefulness of knowing where they come from, jumps out on the court with the way that they play. So shout out to the Rose City Warriors for sure.
Let's move on to Gold Boys here. Man, I just love their organization top to bottom. They're well coached. They're tough. I'm going to talk non-basketball for a second. Before every game, they come and clean the bench of the team before, and then they line their backpacks up perfectly.
You saw the backpacks? Yeah, Oregon. I love it.
It's just really cool. You can tell it kind of filters down throughout their program. Like just something as detailed as that. That's how they play. They're really well coached. They're really tough to beat. They got some dudes too. Ramil Carter. Just goes and gets it done. Blue mentioned him earlier on the Cup of Hoops.
Yeah, and I was going to say before y'all jump in there with your takes on them, is that this team for the last couple of years has an identity, and that's being tough, being having some chemistry as teammates. And they're able to go out there and share the ball. They're not just looking toward one guy all the time to go do the scoring. I think they all kind of take on a different role of being a rebounder, a defender, a ball handler. And they just kind of defensively, they will just swarm you and make it very difficult on you, as they did for Triumph, that has size and quickness that we've talked about.
Yeah. And
I'm
I'll say, oh, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll say this. They went through the gauntlet as well, because all three of us are going to sit right here and say, in that bracket that we put together, none of us, if we were like, who's going to win this, none of us were going to say Gold Boys, because they had to play second and none. They had to come back late against second and none to beat them in the semifinal game. And then the way Triumph was rolling, you were like, all right, well, Triumph probably has the more polished team at this point. But there was just something about how just they made the plays and stayed around, timely execution, off, like just all the nastiness. And so I'll say Gold Boys is one of those statewide teams that made a lot of momentum early on playing in March.
Yeah, and I want to mention Cameron Cash. I'm giving him a shout out. He does a great job on social media, puts out tons of content. And I thought I was going to have a name that no one else was going to have, and that's Hudson Bauman. And Cameron Cash drops an edit of him this morning. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, come on, man. That's my job. Shout out Cameron Cash. You did a great job. But Hudson Bauman, nastiness. He did everything. He got steals. He made shots. He played hard. You can see it all in the edit of what I saw. And he gets going from the three-point line. But Gold Boys, love having this team at Gasos. They do everything right from top to bottom. And now they're not just that's a tough out team. They're now just, hey, you better bring it or you're going to lose. Like that's just what it is with them now. So,
but isn't this who we are? We give this platform and the brand for everybody to use, and for kids like Carter and Ballman to come out here and perform in front of us, and Go Boys wins. I mean, that's I think a little bit of the uniqueness of Gaso over the past 35, 36 years. I love it.
And now, and going forward, as we match make, we can put Gold Boys against so many. I mean, we have plenty of shoe teams coming to town April 5th through 7th. Now we start to see some of these teams that may not naturally get their shots elsewhere. They've earned their shots, and we're going to go to war for you at Gaso if you show us that you're capable. That's one thing we're always going to do.
Yep. Take care of your business, and it's really easy to put you where you deserve to be. Let's get in some player talk. We got 3 categories here, and we're going to tip it off with the show stealer, a player who stole the show in a game you watched. And this, just you walk up to the court, you're watching the game, and a kid just keeps doing something. It just kind of becomes this like undeniable feeling of like, I'm talking about that guy next week. Who was that for you, Michael?
Roman Doolin of PB Nation Ice. So a lot of times the 15U division, they'll play in either the NCAA or NRT, but PB Nation Ice played in the NBA division. And right from the jump, you could just see the way he was able to dictate the pace of the game against guys older than him, bigger than him, stronger than him, more physical than him. But the IQ, and he was a video guy. So the video guy, it stood out. Some and ones, some real big time moves and plays and energy really jumped across the screen. But he was a 3-level scorer that could pass it, make plays, get wherever he wanted. Just one of those 2027 next gen kids that also played well at our next gen showcase, that came out and showed that he can run a actual organized and structured team. And that PB Nation Ice team is going to be a really fun 15U program to cover this year.
Absolutely. Hey, I want to throw in a note too. He got the Sam nod of approval. You know, when Sam walks around, he's like,
Yeah.
"Y'all know about two over here," and we're like, "Yeah, we
Yeah.
know about two over here." Like,
Exactly.
Blue. What about for you?
This right here is building off of momentum with Michael Grant. I mean, we heard and we saw throughout the playoffs how he just turned it up another level, and then walking onto Blue Court One in midday on Saturday, you see him. He hits a three, then goes back to back dunks. The energy that you could feel coming from him. The I'm the best player on the court right now. You could feel it, you could sense it. But then he would go in there when he felt like he couldn't hit a shot, he was giving the ball up. It was uh, uh, one of those video game type moments that you have to give him another four, get him to 4 or 5 straight buckets. But when he stopped hitting a bucket or two, he recognized, hey, I'm going to penetrate and kick. I'm going to go rebound. I'm going to do different things out there to really uplift this team. And man, he's riding momentum.
Yeah, he's a good player. I'm gonna go with Dre Rutledge. I saw him. He's 2025 Waco University. Saw him play Shoemaker on live stream, and he's kind of a bucket, big kid, about 6'4", can really get going and scoring the ball. And it was, when you see him on film, you're like, okay, I'm circling that name. I got to go see him in person now. And he didn't disappoint. He took over to the second game that young pro played. He had about 20 points, was just scoring anytime he wants. He's bigger in person than I had anticipated. And, when you have size and you have some skill to go along with your size and to put the ball in the bucket and actually post up some littler guys or blow by bigger guys, like he's got a lot of tools that translate. And I think, that's a player that needs to be on radars. So Dre Rutledge, Waco University. Now,
Yep.
let's move into our next segment here. Double take. This is a player you need to see again, but you liked. In that first initial one, you were just like, that's a dude right there. I want to see more. Who was that for you, Mike?
Yeah, so before I name mine, the one thing I love about our staff is that when you come to a Gaso, yeah, we're event directors. We know how to put on a high quality event. We're not going to be too behind on courts. It's just high class. But at the same time, we're more than just that. Like, we're here and we get excited. Mass, you get excited to create your lists and your tweets. Blue, you get excited to find your next prospect. We're all excited to see who's who. And for this right here, Dalen Miner was somebody I got really excited to see from Urban DFW. When I'm looking around and as a former point guard, I'm just looking to see who I can really fall for out there making plays. And before I had time to pick up my camera, he had already attacked every crevice of the paint. Was able to find the corner shooters, was able to get to the free throw line, just did everything. And then the stockiness, the frame, everything you like out of a point guard. And he had that Urban DFW, that nastiness that you've come to see out of those guards before. So he's another kid I want to continue to see how he performs. Once again, it's March, so a lot of these guys have had a few practices together. But when you have a lead guard like Dalen Miner, he was willing to kick it, entry passes is a lost art, just everything. And I'm just excited to get to see him another chance.
Blue?
Brandon Stevens of Prep Stars. I mean, the body, the way that he was moving from defense to offense and vice versa. I mean, he's got this little bit of a chip on his shoulder. He wants to go prove to you how good he is. I mean, he's knocking down shots, he's getting to the basket, he's using his length, he's rebounding, he's pushing the ball in transition. And that's what Prep Stars needed at times. They needed to give him the ball so he could go make something happen. And I thought that Brandon is one of those guys that when you see him, you go, and then you look at your roster again and go, oh, that's Brandon Stevens. And so it's that double take, and it's more of that we're going to see throughout the spring and summer. That's going to be fun. Watching him mature a little bit more, only at 2026. So he's going to continue to get better.
Yep. I will go with Michael Hall, GME. He goes to Kennedale as a 26. Michael pointed him out to me, and I was on another court, and I was walking over, and he's like,
this is my lob, my no look. Yeah, I got you.
Like Isaiah Stewart, no look passes all weekend. Phenomenal, yep. Isaiah. Seriously, loved it. But Mike was like, Mass, you're going to love this kid. And I walked over, and Mike knows what I like in these point guards, and he's good decision makers. And GME was already up significantly, so he came in the game late when the game was already in hand. But he was just at that point, he was just facilitating and getting wherever it was. He was real slippery, getting to the paint. He's a skinny kid, but you can tell his quickness is something that like he relies on relentlessly. And the skinniness, or I would just say like he can get to spots and get in and out of traffic really easily. And he made some great passes. I just got to sit down and see him more. Like the game was out of hand. I want to see him in like the meaningful minutes, but I could
Right.
already tell with the decision making and the slitheriness. Is that a word? Slitheriness. I could tell that this is my type of guard.
Yep.
All right, last segment. Make your case. Tell a college coach why they must come recruit this kid. Blue, go.
Okay, it's my turn now, Mass. All right. Step aside. Noah Mallory. We've heard Mass rave about this kid. Well, I'm here to continue to push the narrative of one, I don't even think he's done growing. He's not done maturing. This guy is he's gonna continue to rise in the rankings. I just don't see how he can't. The long arms, I don't he missed some shots, but coming off of that hand when he's shooting it from deep, it's if he shot better than 50% from 3 pointers this weekend, I totally believe it because he can really stroke that ball. And then he's kind of like this little sneaky little rat all of a sudden. He has his other ball handlers making some plays, creating, and then he just slips and he's wide open underneath the basket. That's knowing the game. That's thinking the game. That's processing, quick processing when you see the defense and where they're lined up and how open he is. And he's like, I can get to this spot right here. And he's an amazing talent that I think a lot of people are going to be shocked to see that I think he'll just grow in popularity.
Yeah. Mike?
Yeah, for me, if I'm going to tell a college coach, I want that coach, if he comes back, I don't want a player where he's like, oh, he didn't do much. So for this prospect, Darius Johnson of Lee Green, he's always going to produce in some form or fashion, whether that's picking up 94 feet. He's going to be undeniable to anybody that's there to watch him. The frame's starting to fill out. You can see the little cuts on the little arms, got a little tat now. Okay, Darius, I see you. But he's a gamer. He wants to be a part of every moment. He's going to stand up to the competition. If there's a lull and a team needs a spark, he's going to do that. The 3 ball was big time off the dribble. Just everything you want in a floor general, and leadership prep won a lot of games this year. And you can kind of see that stand out from a kid like that when you're playing in March early on with your grassroots team. He was able to walk on the court and get everybody where they needed to be. And Lee Green had a really successful weekend, and Darius Johnson was a big part of it.
Absolutely. That's a good one. Make your case. Parker Overstreet. High usage rate guy. And what I mean by that is you put the ball in his hands and he's going to have the ball. He's kind of a ball dominant player, but it's a good thing for your team. Efficiency is coming out of that. When he gets downhill and when he gets in a ball screen situation, it's tough to guard. I saw him reject screens constantly, get layups, and then finally when the defenders started to actually sit on the rejection, he would just cross over and then put the big on his heels and make him work and find an open guy or hit a floater. Parker was just doing what he did against Duncanville in a sense, and you saw every bit of it. And he was really efficient in the game I watched. The second game, I can't remember who they played. I can't recall it at this moment. But he was just highly efficient, got it done. Every possession, it felt like, was a plus possession. Even if they didn't make the shot, it was still an open shot or a corner three, or you know what I'm saying? They got to the foul line. Just it was plus possession constantly. And if you, college coach, if you like point guards and you're reliant on them and you play a lot of ball screen, look no further than Parker because he can make a lot of teams pay in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. That's a good one.
That's going to wrap up this GASOcast, episode 20. We'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in.